sharing how to make a dried apple garland. Start by cutting apples into thin slices. Next, I used a mixture of pineapple juice and salt to dip my apple slices in to try and keep them from browning as much. Any citrus juice will work, lemon, lime, and I just eyeballed the amount. There was no specific measurement. To be honest, I didn't notice much of a difference between the apples that I dipped in the mixture and those I didn't. The apples will brown as they dry out because that's what apples do. I found the apples that were a little thicker and dried for a little less time turned out the best. So it's up to you if you want to try this solution to help keep the apples a little whiter or just skip it. I dipped the apple slices into the mixture, then dabbed them a little on a washcloth so they weren't dripping. Place the apple slices on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. I sliced an apple, then dipped it in the mixture, and then would cut another apple after the first apple had been dipped in the mixture. Again, just doing this to try and prevent too much browning from the apples sitting around too long. I also cut the apples both ways, up and down, like from stem to stem, and then the round way. I don't even know what that's called. I just liked the look of having both kinds of slices. And then I just continued until the tray was full. Bake the apple slices at 225 degrees. I baked mine for about 2 hours, flipping them over every 30 minutes. Once the apples were baked, I let them cool on a cooling rack. I let mine sit on the cooling rack for a few days just to see if they would dry out any further. It didn't seem like they were any more dry after that, so no need to do that. Now you can use the apples to make a garland. You can use string, twine, or floral wire to string your apples on. If you're using string or twine, try to use thin string. You'll also need a large needle. I'm showing how to do this with just a couple, but I used floral wire for mine. I prefer to use floral wire to make the garland. I used it with my dried orange garlands too. You don't need a needle because the wire is sharp enough to go through, and it's a lot thinner so it doesn't leave as big of holes in the apple. Just a note on how the apples feel and if they go bad. Because I didn't want my apples to be very brown, I didn't dry them until they were crispy. They were still soft when I decided they were good enough. I wondered if they might go bad or even attract fruit flies, but neither happened. I left my dried apple slices sitting in a bowl in my dining room for almost 2 months before I turned them into a garland. The apples look exactly the same as the day I dried them, and they didn't attract any fruit flies. Dried apples are perfect for decorating for fall or Christmas. They look great with greenery, especially if you use red apples. And they look great with fall leaves too. Basically, they're a perfect decoration to use September through December.